The stream is being, and I want to record. All right, and it says we're being live streamed right now, so, and recorded. So here we are. Woohoo!
Yay!
So it's a, excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold today, so I apologize for this. We are celebrating this amazing, beautiful book, Activate Success, Tips, Tools, and Insights to be a Leader in Your Niche. So I'm Becky Norwood with Spotlight Publishing House. I've had the wonderful pleasure of being able to work with these two fine, wonderful ladies to bring this book to the world. And what a joy it has been to be able to do that. So first, I want to introduce Sujata Ives. She is an award-winning global career development counselor and leadership consultant, inspiring presenter and international author who equips leaders with intercultural competencies that can enable them to act inclusively on the competitive global stage. So important because our world is so changing, and because we are no longer just the United States or just Canada, we're a global world and many people work globally. So welcome to Sujata, and what a celebration today.
Thank you, Becky.
And now we also have Sandra Horton, and she resides in Canada. And Victoria, is it?
I'm actually in the Lower Mainland. I'm in Port Coquitlam in Vancouver, just in the suburbs.
Okay, and my brain, is it Victoria? Is it?
It's all beautiful. British Columbia is a great place. For sure.
Sandra is a leadership. She is in leadership. She really knows her stuff when it comes to leadership. She's a beacon of positivity, motivation, and empowerment, known as Success Change Catalyst. Sandra guides leaders and organizations on a transformative journey towards sustainable solutions. So, the title of the book itself catches a person's eye. It really activates success. Who of us don't want to be successful? Who of us don't really, whether it's in life or in our business, and in our changing world with a changing workplace culture, it's so important to figure out how we can be successful because everything's changed. It's very important. So how did you come up with this title? Whoops.
Okay. All good. Dr. Sujata Ives, why don't you start us off?
Oh, I would love to. Thank you. I didn't know who was going first. So I just was being polite there. How did we come up with this title here? Well, going through the pandemic, we saw such extreme shifts in the workplace. The ethos of the workplace, the pathos of the workplace was changing rapidly. And there was, short of a better word, we were amidst a crisis and chaos.
Yes.
And we needed something that could uplift people through that chaos and beyond. And we tossed around a few ideas, like accelerate success. But it just didn't quite capture what I just said. So the activation of success takes something inside a human being at the individual level, at the team level, and at the systemic level. So when we came to Activate Success, we just knew that this was the perfect title for pandemic and post-pandemic. So Thank you.
Very cool. And for you, Sandra, how did Activate Success, how did this process go in your own mind as the two of you were developing this?
What a great question. And thank you. And to all those who are listening, thank you so much for being here, taking the time to be with us. And, like anything in life, it's a beautiful journey, isn't it? There's the opportunities for growth in every single moment. So for myself, and again, I can only speak through my beautiful lens, but also from my interactions with the amazing Sujata, that this has been a beautiful journey. And as people, individuals waken and become really more self-aware, we can just grow. And so this journey, how has this been for me? It's been wonderful. It's been a beautiful learning and growth opportunity. And one of the things that I love is that if I looked at myself back then and there 3 years ago to where I am now, all of the stages, all of the enhanced self-awareness, the leadership that I've done, it's all, wonderfully wrapped up into this book. And that's what I love about this creative process. You're sharing yourself authentically and you're sharing your journey. So what a beautiful gift that is to give, not only to the world, but also to our kids. And I think that's really what is so near and dear to my heart that makes me the most proud that I have a legacy.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I observe with authors as they're bringing their books to the world, they get to that point when it's going to become a reality. And there's kind of that panic mode in some ways, like, oh my goodness, this work is finally here, because becoming an author and doing it the right way is not for the faint of heart. It's a big journey.
It is a big journey. I have to say that, Becky, and thank you for coming on our journey.
So, it's a journey of, from the moment you begin writing, then when you get it through the editing stage and you find like, oh my goodness, they're changing it. And yet you see how it all kind of starts to flow. And then even after the process, as it was for the two of you, where that's not the way it should go. Maybe this, make some changes here. Mm-hmm. But over and above all of that, the journey to see what our world is going through right now is a really concern, because it seemed like after the pandemic, there were a lot of young people, especially, that really didn't want to work. They had that money coming in because that's just the way things were, because it was an upside down world. And the workplace culture, I find that when I watch young people today, or even just any of us that are in the actual workplace in corporate America, there's a certain amount of unhappiness. And I think there's a huge shift happening in order to find out what is going to work. What do people really want? And you guys, the two of you go through, you have your 27 activators in this book. Because your main question is, do you know how to activate success, both in the workplace and in your personal life? And the two can't really be separated. They have to go hand in hand. So let's talk about those 27 activators. And I noticed one thing in your book, as you go through the pages, you both take a section of the book and you kind of go back and forth with, how would I react with this, and where am I with this, and what is my feedback on this? And so you personalize it in such a beautiful way, but you show very different perspectives, and yet you bring them together in a very healthy way. So let's talk about your activators.
Sure. So why don't I jump in on the first bit, and answering this really is the new normal phenomenon, and we bring that to the book. And I think that's, what you're absolutely wonderfully alluding to, Becky, is that the world's changed and how we need to show up has changed. We need to raise our consciousness. And some of those things of becoming more self-aware is another way of framing this. So how do we get self-aware? Well, we have to be very mindful. We have to be very purposeful in what we do. We have to know our own story. So some of the activators, particularly for the consciousness, is clarity. Clarity in getting to know, who am I? And this goes back to our 4 essential questions. And I'm going to bring that back down to Sujata to kind of wonderfully work through. But understanding the activator of clarity, knowing who you are as an individual. Where did I come from? What stories am I telling myself? So who am I and where am I going? And where is that? And for many people, especially coming through this pandemic in this confused, uncertain time, many people, especially the younger generations that you were alluding to, can feel lost. And I think by just taking the time to really dive into who am I and where am I going will help them really define not only their values, their mission, their vision of where they want to go. And then they link into the beautiful next stages, which again would be, how do I get there and how do I stay there? So I'm not going to go through all that because I think Sujata will do a wonderful, more of a deeper dive onto that. But this is just one aspect of the clarity activators that we embed into not only our 4 essential questions, but these activators are embedded in our Ives Horton leadership model. And also each chapter has 2 activators. So we really dive into how you then can become aware of them and then go and bring them to your life and to your work. So Sujata, do you want to take it from there? And I mean, we can go any which way on this kind of conversation.
Beautifully said, Sandra.
Sandra, that was a wonderful, wonderful synopsis of the activators that we have in the book. And as Sandra said, you know, we offer you 2 activators per chapter from our own experience. This is what we've seen. So this book is to activate success for you at 3 levels, like I said before, the individual, the team, and the system. And so when Sandra and I sat down and said, okay, each chapter is a certain niche, what helped us in that niche? What's helping our clients in that niche? And that's how we came up with those activators. So they get you started. We just want people to get a head start because people are feeling stuck. And we just want them to get out of that quicksand or get out of that, you know, clay, that red clay sort of situation. And really, you know, people don't know where to start. And so we've written this book for 2 reasons. Yes, it does say leader in the title, to be a leader in your niche, but it's so much more than that. We start off with self-leading.
Absolutely.
You cannot lead other people in your family or in your workplace without knowing the self. So we have 3 pillars that go with these activators. Those 3 pillars are self-discovery, change readiness, and sustainable impact. Again, these are the pillars that we came up with because, you know, Sandra's working in Canada. She's in healthcare in that system. I'm in private practice, I'm association leadership. So we're bringing our perspectives, our experiences here to the table to help people to really move forward, not to go backwards, but to move forwards in something new. Now, I want to take this one opportunity, please, to show you one activator that I just could not do without. And this is my husband, Robert. And I, you know, I was a military wife and I knew what I was getting into. I knew that I had to put myself on hold, that my success would come later, that my turn would come later. So I just want to publicly really thank you, Bob. And we really need the support of our families. And it's really, if you don't have a family, get somebody to, choose somebody that has the same values as you do to become your family. Create your own family. That support is so very important. And as an immigrant and being bicultural, coming from India, I'm just so elated to have this beautiful family, to have beautiful friends such as Sandra and Becky, and to have written this book to help everybody, in the school system that say no child left behind. And here we say no man or woman left behind.
Absolutely.
So, thank you. Thank you.
Proud of you.
Well, I always say it's the ones in the background that really make the person. They're the ones doing so much to allow us to be able to shine where we shine.
And
it's
Becky, I
beautiful.
want to jump in on that because my beautiful husband Gary has been our rock of Gibraltar, and he's actually getting his car fixed today. He had to get that done, or he'd be here. So I'll just pretend my sweetie's here. So I just wanted to also acknowledge Gare. He was such such an instrumental support to all of us throughout the whole process, whether it was his initial editing, putting up with my crazy schedule. He's always loved me and supported me to be the best version of myself. And same as Sujata would say, really about our family, our extended family, especially on my side, all the kids, grandkids. When mom, grandma, friend is away having to work on the book lovingly. I'm going to reframe that because I loved doing this. This was a choice, a beautiful gift. And so when I made those choices, they're like, okay, we support you. And so I just wanted to acknowledge all of them and thank them as well. And I know we'll get back to some more of these questions, but I think it is really important to acknowledge those, the shoulders upon which support us and we also stand on too.
That's right. And for me, my husband, Mark, he always does, he's cooking, cleaning, running and doing the
Exactly.
things he's the one that makes it all come to be and makes it happen.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't have that kind of support, I wouldn't be able to serve in the way I do, so
true.
it all goes together. I've been thinking about your book in many respects, and I know COVID was a catalyst for a lot of things. And I've looked at it from many different perspectives, and I know people have lost lives from COVID, and that's not the perspective that I'm speaking about. I'm speaking about the change that COVID has brought about and the shift that it's brought about. And if you think about it, if COVID had come 10 years earlier, would we have been even able to pick up and would we have had the Zoom of the world, and the way to connect with people this way? Would we have been able to do what we did during a really incredible time? And what if it kind of in a way of like divine providence that it happened when it did, because it was a wake-up call for all of us to start to wake up and grow and make a difference and find the ways. And for many, it meant a totally different career and a different way of life. And many people, many families actually got to know their kids or their spouses for the first time because we weren't put in that position. So it has its many sadnesses part of it, that whole pandemic and all of that, but it also has some many beautiful things that we're just beginning to recognize. And the people that are working in our world and bringing books like this, like this to the world are the ones of us that are really doing what we can to make a difference.
Well
Beautiful.
said.
So you talk about your foundational constructs throughout the book and their feelings, values, stressors formula, your empathy ethic principle, and your new normal phenomenon concept. So let's take the first one, the feelings, values, and stressors formula. Let's talk about that in a little more depth.
Go ahead, Sujata.
Oh,
Go.
okay. Again, I just don't know who's
We're
going
just
first or second
flowing.
or
It's all good.
okay.
We're just going
Okay.
with the flow.
Okay. Okay. So you guys, this is gold. If you can grab this from this book, guaranteed your conflicts are going to go from here to here. Your understanding is going to go from here to here. Make the connection between your feelings, your values, because that connection is so strong that if there's a breach in something that you value, that's what causes the stress. So I'm going to give you a really easy example because, this is something that comes out in client sessions. So let's say that cleanliness is a value, right? So if there's an unkempt room or house, that's going to cause stress in the person. You see? So stress is extremely individual to your values.
Absolutely.
If you don't value cleanliness, it's not going to bother you. You're not going to be stressed. So make sure, in that chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, that you're getting this richness, that the bells go off. Make a values list. What do you values? Because it's the breach in those values: cleanliness, peace, harmony, fun, excitement, whatever your value is, make that list. And if there is a breach, what are you feeling? Go to your feelings list. What am I feeling and why am I stressed? Now, if you don't address that stress at the stress level, remember there's the mind-body connection. So it's going to go from here. It's going to manifest in your body: a stomach ache, headache, foot ache, heartache, whatever. It's going to manifest in the body. And if you don't address the body, then you're going to go into the burnout stage. Okay, so there are levels to this mind-body connection, but it's a golden formula that we give you in there. So please, just see if you could just grab it, try it, and then please write to us. Let us know how that formula is working for you. So thank you, Becky.
Sorry, I've had a cold and it's the wrong time for a book launch with a cold.
Oh, it's okay. It's all good, Becky. You need to just take a moment. That's all good. We're just all good.
Okay, so, and your thoughts on the same subject, Sandra?
You know what? It was so wonderfully said by Sujata. And, I guess I would ask everyone who's listening is just to reflect on yourself, reflect on your past situations and, gee, how are things showing up that maybe aren't, they just don't sit well, or perhaps you're starting to have more conflicts in work. This is why it's so important today, because we're on this heightened reactionary kind of path versus a response. And I think this is the opportunity in leadership to say, okay, well, what's happening for me? Understanding. And part of my core change that I had way back when that I bring to my own personal leadership today is really owning my own values, knowing my values. I don't, and this is an interesting piece, and I'm mindful of the words that I'm saying. You don't need to own your past ways of how people defined how you should be, could be, all those kind of blame game kind of words. Go with what's important to you. And that's why we always go back to our essential 3 pillars, which is self-discovery. You got to know yourself. What are your values? How do you want to show up? When I look back at my Royal Roads University, when I did my master's in leadership, one of the fundamental things, that aha eureka moment, maybe some of you have had those, it was like, oh my gosh, like I understood that I had been living someone else's values. Those were my parents. And this is resonance for many, many people around the world, and particularly in certain cultures where those norms are very strong. Cultural is really embedded into that way of being. And so when I was able to stop, observe, and make a new decision to reprogram, or as we say, code shift, is, you know, in the psychological world with Sujata, is really to be able to understand the power of the unconscious mind and to say, I'm choosing a new way forward, letting go and making more positive words versus the negative self-limiting beliefs, and identifying the values and then choosing how to step into them. This actually leads into our second big one, which is our empathy ethic. And so I'm just going to jump into that just for a quick moment. We experience people, we feel people. Even as we're speaking to you now, we're resonating in a certain way. You're picking up that we genuinely are super happy and excited, and that we do care. In work worlds today, we need to bring an empathy ethic. It's a way of being, it's a way of caring, it's a way of showing up consciously, so that it's not just a me, it's a we. And that we're able to kind of look at how we do our business. How do we show up in our leadership? Are we open to others' perspectives, especially in this large, beautiful, interconnected global world that we live in? So many different cultures and ways of being that we have to understand others' perspectives. And there's a difference between my perspective, which is how I see out of my lovely lens, and the perception, which is how I've been framed and taught and kind of learned those ways of being.
Right.
So empathy ethic is foundational to conscious leadership today. And I know Sujata's going to jump into this because this is some power stuff. I love this.
Sandra, so beautifully said, so beautifully put. What we want for the new normal in moving forward is we want people in the workplace and in personal life to adopt empathy as an ethical principle, as an ethical duty. So in the book, we put there, stop running to your boss, stop complaining, stop whining. Those days are over. This guy's not pulling his weight on the team, or whatever complaints you have. Instead, adopt that empathy ethic. Go to the person. Mm-hmm. Can I help you? I see that you didn't meet the deadline, so let us help you. There may be something going on with the person where they don't know where to begin, or maybe there's a neurodiversity. So there are things that people don't reveal or disclose in the workplace. And so rather than going back to old models or, how we did things prior to the pandemic, I think the pandemic brought this world much closer together. It was like, okay, China is all the way over there, India is all the way over there. But we know how small this world is. So we want you to know yourself so you can know others, right? So that's your schema. That running to the boss may be your schema because you were raised like that, or it's coming from your background, your experience. So you always have to step back and say, what's resonating inside of me that's causing these feelings to come up about this guy? So always introspect first. And then the next step is the empathy ethic. Ask them if they need to help. Because, like I put on LinkedIn yesterday, a win for one woman is a win for all women.
Yeah, love that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we could go on, and this book is a book that needs to be picked up and read. And if you're listening to this, we have the link in this stream, but go to Amazon.com and just put in the title and either one or the other name, and it will come up if you don't see the link anywhere. And you know what, this is a really big celebration because Sandra and Sujata have become international #1 bestsellers with this book. And it's such a cause of celebration. It brings such joy because this book has so much of value inside of it. And as you pick up the pages, they have a workbook that goes right along with it to help you take what you're reading and mulling around in your head and in your heart down on paper to really kind of see where you are on a personal level, and then take it much higher because it very thought-provoking questions, and they have some really cool things the way they did each chapter with like kind of a tip. I don't know if you I can't show it very well. A tip, a neural tip. There's tip 1, tip 2, and then there's also a tool that they give, and then they ask questions from each of this. Questions that make you ponder, go much deeper, and really kind of drill down into the essence of what it is that you want to become to activate that success in your life. So with a great joy, we're celebrating this day, knowing that this book has come to the world in amazing ways. We know this is just the beginning. Publishing a book is just the beginning. A book is a tool to get your message out to the world. And I want to celebrate the two of you and hope that you will take the time to celebrate today as well. So
yes.
Thank you so much, Becky. Just wonderful. It's I'm so glad I can only speak for myself, like Sandra says, but Becky, it's such a joy to work with you. And this is about women helping women. And I just want to thank you so much for everything that you've done for us. And
thank you. Well, I appreciate that very much. And we are going to have another live stream later today on Zoom. And you can invite your guests, anybody that wants to join us for kind of a fun celebration time. And also if anybody wants to ask questions, but this is a time that we need to celebrate the moment because this has been hard work to bring this to the table. And I'm sure it's been a lot of cause of introspection for each one of us as we've gone through this journey.
Sure.
So as we conclude this, celebrate with Sandra and Sujata, trying to get that book
in there.
Thank you.
And enjoy this day. And if you haven't picked up a copy, please do. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you,
you.
Sujata. And again, we'll see you later today. Make sure you go to Amazon now and pick up that book. It's available in Kindle. It's available in paperback and hard copy. So this is a beautiful gift to give to your leaders, your moms. This is a belated, beautiful Mama's Day gift, as I always say. because there's such richness in there. And so thank you so much to all of those who are supporting us, who are encouraging us all along the way. And thank you again to you, Becky, and to Sujata.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
beautiful day. Thank you.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you. Take care.